Hey Battalion Nation, we are at the Fox and Fiddle for episode number 3 of the Troops Trio, brought to you by Sports Illustrated Ticketing and Happy Dad. Let's head outside and see who's here. Ladies and gentlemen, your host, Matthew Sookram.
Thank you, AJ, and welcome to Troops Trio, brought to you by Sports Illustrated Tickets and Happy Dad Beverages, and proudly sponsored by the City of North Bay, the Boat North Bay, the Moose Cookhouse, the Clubhouse at Gateway Golf, and the Fox and Fiddle, where we are on location tonight. So excited to be out in the community again, and what a great venue for Troops Trio to be recording in. I'm Matthew Sookram alongside Bob Coles and Ranjan Rupal, and we have a jam-packed show for you. On episode 3, we're going to break down the week that was for the North Bay Battalion on the ice. We've got several interviews lined up. We'll be talking to head coach Ryan Oulahen. We're also talking to the 2 opposing coaches for the troops this coming week. John Dean of the Sioux Greyhounds, Scott Barney of the Sudbury Wolves. They will be on the show. We're going to hear from former Battalion Forward Dalyn Wakely, former OPP officer George Couchie. We'll have a chat about Truth and Reconciliation Day. And we are also going to touch on everything coming up for the battalion with AJ Jakeman as well. So let's get into it. Let's start with what happened this week for the North Bay Battalion. Bob Ranjan, we've got the battalion losing twice this past weekend. 3-1 defeat at the hands of the Ottawa 67s, a 2-1 defeat at the hands of the Kingston Frontenacs. Ranch, special teams really felt like they played a huge part in the outcome of these 2 games this past weekend.
Well, I think the game against Ottawa, anytime Ottawa comes to town, you know it's going to be a playoff-style game. So here we are in September talking about playoff-style hockey, but it is. With Dave Cameron, the way he coaches the team, very structured. And what I saw from Ottawa was a playoff-style performance. What I saw from North Bay was youthful exuberance of being back in front of the home crowd, especially Lyra Mamadovsky, and coming in, a lot of emotion, a lot of energy. Ryder Carey throws a big hit, gets a questionable call on it, really. But I thought that really having 4 penalties in the first period is a tough hill to climb. That's 8 minutes out of your first 20. You're on special teams, so guys are sitting on the bench and they're getting cold, the guys who are not on the PK. And then you got to try to get back into rolling 4 lines, and it's tough when you're getting a penalty every 3 or 4 minutes. It breaks up your flow, and I think that was the story of that game against Ottawa.
Yeah, I think it was natural to see what happened at the battalion on Friday night. I mean, they had, it was like a home opener for the 4 guys who were away at NHL camps, and everyone sort of jacked up on the home opener, and that's and they got into penalty trouble. And you got to give Ottawa credit. Ottawa came out hard and aggressive, and Ottawa really played a smart, disciplined kind of game. And North Bay got into penalty trouble, and they fell behind. And Ottawa's like the battalion. When they get a lead, they're a different team than when they get behind. And you got to give Ottawa credit. They played really a perfect road game. And the battalion, though, they every time you thought they might get some momentum, they got a penalty against them, and they didn't generate enough chances to really get anything going consistently. And Ottawa full marks for the win.
And then in the game against the Frontenacs, it was really a battle between 2 hot goaltenders, right? You had 2 goals in the first by the Frontenacs, 1 by the battalion, and then nothing over the final 40 minutes of the game. Not for a lack of trying, though. The battalion outshot the Frontenacs 43-24. Matthew Minchak was just unbelievable in net for the Frontenacs. He earned first star of the game honors, 42 saves. I mean, sometimes that's just the way the puck bounces, right? You're going to run into hot goaltenders, and I mean, again, I think you got to give credit to the battalion for putting up that kind of effort, but you definitely want to see those pucks start to go in when you're putting up 43 shots on the opposition.
Yeah, these are not inexperienced goaltenders that we're up against. It's just that it was their first OHL game, and they're excellent goaltenders. Otherwise, they would not have been heavily recruited by these OHL teams. So Fedorov is going to be a good goalie in this league, and Minchak at 6'5", I think it is going to be a good goalie in this league as well. But I think that in the second game against Kingston, North Bay did a lot of things right, and they showed some urgency. They were getting some good line rushes, going to the net more, getting shots on goal. So they were trying to address some things from the Friday game. You could see them thinking probably some of the things that Ryan Oulahen told them to, let's focus on this. And you saw that focus. I didn't like the way they started against Kingston. There was a little bit of a sleepy start to the game, but I felt that they had a bit of a course correction after about 5 minutes into that period. And I think Procession coming over the boards really led the way with a really good shift. And then the Battalion played much better after that.
Yeah, I agree. Although the result was the same, not getting the 2 points, the effort was there for the Battalion for 60 minutes, really, in Sunday's game loss to Kingston. They didn't have as much finish as they probably wanted, and that reflected, I think, the final score. But I've been doing PA for 3 years. That was the first time in the second period you didn't hear from me, and which maybe some people think that's a good thing. But in the second period, because there were no goals and there were no penalties, and a very unusual OHL game. And I think Coach Oulahen was very honest after the game about, we've got to get more into those tough areas. You're up against a real good goalie who, if he was seeing the puck, he was stopping the puck. And so a really solid effort, I think. There was a big difference between Friday night's performance compared to Sunday's. And so, it was a positive improvement in the way the team played. But, it's all about getting points, and they didn't get any.
Next to Dubratsev's cheer from the crowd, the second biggest cheer was when the referee finally called a penalty against Kingston.
Yes, it was.
That might even be bigger than the Dubratsev goal cheer.
That's true.
Absolutely. All right, once again, we want to thank our sponsors, Sports Illustrated Tickets and Happy Dad Beverages, for sponsoring the show, as well as the City of North Bay, the Boat North Bay, the Moose Cookhouse, the Clubhouse at Gateway Golf, and the Fox and Fiddle, where we are on location tonight. Make sure you check out the Battalion social media channels to find out where Troops Trio will be next. And you can also send your comments and questions to Troops Trio at battalionhockey.com. And we do have a question from that email that we will be reading later tonight in our AJ fan voice section. All right, like we said, we've got a jam-packed show for you tonight. Lots of guests, including a live guest, former OPP officer George Couchie. George, thank you so much for joining the show. Yep. George, you've been involved in with the North Bay Battalion in setting up Indigenous Day at the Gardens for every game that's close to September 30th, right? And for this year, that's going to be on the Sunday game coming up. Tell us a little bit about that working relationship that you have with the North Bay Battalion and getting all this set up.
So I think for us, it's the large venue to bring our Truth and Reconciliation. And the North Bay has been great. The battalions have been great. We've been doing it for 5 years now. And just great sponsorship out of Nipissing First Nation. I think this year we have 1,300 tickets that we've given out for the game.
That's incredible. And it's an awesome way to get youth into the Gardens that may not otherwise get an opportunity to experience that throughout the year. So I know, like, they get fired up for this game, don't they?
Oh yeah, and when we give out tickets, we tell them, don't just bring your parents, bring your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we give a lot of tickets out to the communities. Bear Island comes, Doki's First Nation, and Nipissing, and Wolf Lake also comes too.
And what the message you're trying to send through Indigenous Youth Day, obviously today is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. I know you're making a presentation with the battalion players, so the organization's really supportive of what you're trying to do, but what message are you trying to express to these young hockey players?
That for Indigenous people, when we look at the history of our communities, when we look at the history of Canada, first it was the extinction of Indigenous people, then we went to assimilation, now we're into reconciliation. And so for our kids, it's that sense of belonging, that they belong to the community. They shouldn't be seen as less than. So for many years we were seen as less than, but now we're really trying to promote our youth, get them into the game, And for the city of North Bay, when they see these kids coming, it's your neighbors, people that come into your stores. And again, it's that sense of belonging.
And how do you feel that the message has landed in the city of North Bay amongst non-Indigenous people who maybe for the past 5 or 10 years weren't really aware of what truth needed to be said and why reconciliation was needed? For many people of our age, it was never an issue, never really even taught in school, but now it's new information, new education. How do you feel that's landing with people?
I think when we talk about history, and there's history and then there's the truth. So for a lot of people, somebody said one time, when we talk about history, it's his story. And so now we're talking about the truth, what really happened in residential schools or the Indian Act. And again, how people saw Indigenous people as less than. So as a kid growing up, I always saw myself as less than also, because I always wanted to be seen as normal, and normal was the dominant society. So as a Native kid growing up, I always wanted to be white because I wanted to be seen as part of the dominant society. But I think North Bay has really supported this. The battalion have done an awesome job supporting it, and so it's not hard for us to get sponsors to give us tickets. Like I said, last year we had 1,500. I think we have 1,300 this year again. And outside of the playoffs, we're probably the large attendance for those games.
I know that having First Nations players on OHL teams must be great as far as you're concerned, because we've had two the last few years, Dalyn Wakely, who we're going to hear from later, and Ty Nelson, and I know the Sioux coming in for Sunday, they have a First Nations player. So the impact, do you think, of the players themselves spreading this positive message?
Anytime you get a large venue like the North Bay Battalion, and you have another player coming that's Indigenous, it just strikes for those kids to see that player out there. And Dalyn was such a good piece to this when he spoke to the kids after the games, and really when we went into schools, Dalyn would come and talk to the kids there also.
Did you find when Dalyn spoke that the kids were pretty interested in what he had to say?
Oh, he could have said anything, they would have believed him. So they were really, and Dalyn was a very compassionate young man. When I talked to his parents, and you could see why he was compassionate, his mom and dad, and even his grandfather, who drove up every game from Peterborough to watch him play. So Dalyn was a true model in our community.
And Bob, you had a chance to catch up with Dalyn earlier today to talk about this game, talk about his experience with the North Bay Battalion. So why don't we listen to that interview now? And George, we'll get you to stick around for just a minute and get your reflections as well on your working relationship with Dalyn as well. So this is Bob Coles with Dalyn Wakely.
Joining us on Troops Trio now, Dalyn Wakely, former North Bay Battalion, former Barrie Colt, and now playing for the UMass Minutemen in NCAA hockey. Well, welcome aboard.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, Bob.
Let's talk about today, the purpose of our podcast this week, the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. We've got the Indigenous Youth Day coming up, game coming up on Sunday afternoon against the Sioux Greyhounds. You, of course, grew up Curve Lake, and you've really been upfront with people about this important issue. What does today mean to you?
Yeah, it's important. I think it's just mainly a day of reflection, and understanding kind of how far we've come and how far we still have to go with a lot of things. And, I think for me, being a bit of a role model now for some of the youth back home on the reserve, and even in North Bay with everyone that I was able to meet out there on Nipissing Reserve, just a day to kind of be, another day to learn. As a man of First Nations background, I still got a lot of learning to do, but also just trying to share what I've kind of learned over the course of my life. Yeah.
And the importance of wearing, orange. I know I have an orange shirt on right now. Every child matters. What does what does that signify to you? Are people listening, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have the orange shirt on there, and we did a great job, I thought, in North Bay with kind of spreading that, and obviously in all the schools and stuff, everyone's probably wearing an orange shirt today. So I think it's great. I think it brings the community together, and at the end of the day, that's kind of what we stand for as a First Nations people, and I think what a lot of people want to have is a good community and a strong knit family. So just another day to kind of continue to stress that and come together.
You've put yourself out there, though, by getting involved in various issues over the years. I know the CHL and the OHL have messaged that in a couple of social media posts today. Why is that so important to you as a person to just to support things other than hockey?
I mean, yeah, hockey only lasts so long, and it's only part of my life. There's a lot of things that go on away from the rink that are important to me, and having this background and heritage, I think it's important to be someone with a voice and be heard. I think for my people and for everyone to kind of understand what my ancestors and my great grandparents and everyone went through, so that I could be here today and do what I do. So just have a lot of gratitude and appreciation for being able to do what I do, and also trying to help teach people what's gone on, for sure.
Let's talk about hockey. Of course, you're very popular in North Bay. You finished your OHL career in Barrie. Now you moved on to the UMass. Tell us about the campus and your experience so far.
That's been great. I was down here a lot of the summer. Obviously, I spent part of my summer in North Bay too, training with Caleb, who's the strength coach for the troops. So was able to be up back in my second home for a bit, and then I've been down here basically since July all the way through till now. So pretty comfortable with the campus. It's a nice size. It's not too big, so can kind of get everywhere on foot within 15 minutes. And I really like our group of guys. I think we've got a strong group of guys coming in from the CHL. Just that's going to blend in here with all the guys that were here already. So it's been a lot of learning so far, and a lot of time in the books too with school now. So but it's been great.
Yeah, you got to find that balance, right?
Yeah, I do. And obviously, like Adam Dennis there in North Bay did a great job at kind of keeping us going with school, even when we were done high school, with keeping up with some online courses. So the transition hasn't been too bad.
I see you're playing this weekend. So is your family getting out to the game Saturday night?
Yeah. I think we play Friday or Saturday. So mom and dad, my brother, and my grandparents will all be down for sure.
Well, thanks for this. I know you're busy with your hockey, your schoolwork, and obviously supporting people you grew up with and sending that positivity to people around the country. So thanks for joining us, and have a great season.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, Bob. Thank you for having me on.
Take care.
Awesome to hear from Mr. Wakely. Bob, great job with that interview. And George, just give me your comments on just the pride that Dalyn has for getting involved in these initiatives and making it known he's an Indigenous player and trying to promote that message to get involved and do what you can to support your other initiatives like this.
Yeah, I think when we worked with Dalyn, we had talked about the drug problems in our communities, and we really needed a role model. And again, Dalyn just fit that, and he was helping out with everything in our community and within the city of North Bay also.
I think that Dalyn is a remarkable individual at many levels, and to have won the Canadian Hockey League Humanitarian of the Year award, that is an exceptional accomplishment, and it speaks to the character of Dalyn. And so when you get a chance to put him in front of impressionable young people, boys in particular, that his message would resound with them, and hopefully, even though he's moved on to UMass Lowell, that his message sort of is still he's still a figure that they would look up to. And hopefully on a podcast like this, some people would see that and say, hey, Dalyn's still part of the battalion in a way. And the messages that he would send through that, the school visits and whatnot, and talking to people about the drug abuse problem in certain vulnerable populations would be a lasting message.
Yeah, I've always been impressed by Dalyn. I mean, he's used his voice in the community as an OHL player, and I get the sense that voice of his will never stop helping other people where he goes in life. And like he said in the interview, you know, hockey only lasts so long, but the type of person you are reflects your true spirit.
Absolutely. All right, George, what else do people have to know about Sunday's game?
Wear orange, cheer loud, we're going to win the game.
Awesome. All right, George, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to have you here. That's George Couchie. We want to thank Sports Illustrated Tickets and Happy Dad Beverages for sponsoring this show, as well as the City of North Bay, the Boat North Bay, the Moose Cookhouse, the Clubhouse at Gateway Golf, and the Fox and Fiddle, where we are on location tonight. So excited to be out and about in the community. As we told you, we are taking this show on the road this season. Last week, we were at the Clubhouse at Gateway Golf. Tonight, at the Fox and Fiddle. So stay tuned to the Battalion social media channels to find out where Troops Trio will be next. All right, Bob, Raj, we're going to move on, get into some of the X's and O's of what happened for the North Bay Battalion this past week. As we said, coming up short in both their games to the Ottawa 67s and the Kingston Frontenacs. And Bob, you had a chance to catch up with head coach Ryan Oulahen earlier today. But before we get to the interview, we also heard from Ryan after Sunday's contest and after Friday's contest as well. And my takeaway was when he touched on trying to really start to rejig this puzzle piece as he's starting to get everybody back, right? Because really, they haven't all been together since the very early stages of the preseason. And so I think there is now going to be that learning curve for some of these guys over the next little while.
Well, if you think about it, the first week, the games they played were without the guys who were away at NHL camps, and the season started a week earlier. That's what happened, and they only had like 5 days, I think, between their home opener and their final exhibition game, right? Mm-hmm. So they were missing some of their key leaders, and they came back for Friday night's game, and so it was a matter of adjusting already, mm-hmm. and then they had to adjust one more time for Sunday's game. And I think Friday's game and Sunday's game, difference between night and day. They played a lot more disciplined, obviously, on Sunday. You know, it was more of a typical, if you want to use that phrase, battalion game. And although the results didn't show it, I think for people who saw both games, they were more impressed with the battalion on Sunday. And I think they'll even be stronger as they keep playing games throughout the next couple of weeks.
I think you saw in the first two games of the year, North Bay was dictating the play. Mm-hmm. And then in this weekend, I think there was a lot of good things that North Bay did. One thing that, if I could say, that we need to do a better job of is go to the dirty areas, which is the front of the net, where most goals are scored. You know, quite frankly, it's one thing to be on the perimeter, but you have to have willing combatants go to the front of the net, and that, in my mind, Ethan Procession has to lead the way that way. Aaron Amadovsky has shown a willingness to go to the front of the net, and it's a bit intimidating, you know, for a Cam Warren to go and park himself in the front of the net and do Bratsev. It's a new league. He's got to be able to get to the front of the net and stake a claim to that area, and then hunt down the pucks for rebounds. And I think greasy goals are, I don't know the numbers, but 60% of goals are probably greasy goals, so within 2 or 3 feet of the goal. And we got to look at that as a way to get the offense going. Having said that, the Edmonton Oilers last year, there were periods of time where they would be limited to 1 goal or 2 goals a stretch, and then everyone's wondering, well, oh my God, what's wrong with the Oilers? Is it all smoke and mirrors? No, it's just a phase, and their offense is not what we saw this weekend. It's certainly more potent than that, and it's just a matter of getting some of those goals the old-fashioned way, going in the front of the net and making time difficult for their goalie to see the pucks. Minchak played a great game, but he saw a lot of those pucks.
Absolutely. All right, let's hear what Mr. Coles had to say with Mr. Oulahen. Producer Gerald, can we hear that interview?
Coach Ryan Oulahen of the battalion, of course, and your first appearance on Troops Trio.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, this is nice. It's exciting. it's nice to get out into town too at some of the destinations, and looking forward to being a fan of this as well.
Of course, you got the orange shirt on, Indigenous Youth Day for the big game on Sunday against the Greyhounds. Battalion really getting involved in that issue.
For sure, I think it's extremely important. Truth and Reconciliation Day, we're lucky enough to have a George Couchie come by and speak to our team as well. He's done it the last few years and really bring awareness to our players and our team. I remember the first time George spoke to our team a couple years ago, how much I just learned about what Truth and Reconciliation Day is all about. So I think it's important. I know all the kids are wearing the shirts here today. They're at Chippewa wearing the shirts as well, and I think it's important that we share our awareness.
Let's talk about last week, not the results you wanted. Goal scoring seemed to be an issue in both games against Ottawa. Ottawa was more of a penalty problem, I guess, and then you played well on Sunday, but you just couldn't find the back of the net.
Yeah, you always get a good grasp when you're able to relook, but definitely going to be attention to our offensive play here in practice. I think as a team, we're one of the stingiest defensive teams right now in terms of expected goals against, which is a good sign. But we got to find ways to put the puck in the net, and you know what? It's a hard thing to do. But earlier on, there's lots of opportunity out there. Maybe some things that now we get a really good week of practice, having our NHL players return, getting back to in sync, and getting the lines and the chemistry going. So looking forward to working this week with the team, and hopefully we see an improved product this weekend.
2 games this week. You got a Friday game in Sudbury, and then Sunday at home for the Greyhounds. Maybe just a look ahead, first of all, to the Wolves. You played them once, you won in overtime. Seemed to be a great defensive effort in that game by the Battalion. What are you looking for in that game?
Well, you got to fear your opponent sometimes. Sudbury is probably not off to the start that they would have liked, and they're going to be desperate on home ice versus us, probably the biggest rival. So you'd expect that they're going to play an extremely hard game. So we got to go in there, stick to our game plan. When you're playing on the road, you got to be conscious of some things, and especially in their rink with the way the benches are. But I think our group is ready for that. And again, just looking forward to a good week of practice and hopefully seeing a little bit more goal scoring this weekend.
And the Greyhounds on Sunday, your old pal John Dean brings his team in.
I don't usually talk about the opponent, past Friday. However, this being early in the week, I do recognize that factor. John's got that team playing really good right now. Watched them play a little bit on the road. We played Kingston. They had just played Kingston. So like always, a fast, skilled hockey team that he gets them playing the right way. So they're going to come in here and be prepared. I know it's a special spot for Diener as well, with him playing for the Centennials and history with our club as well. So he'll have his players ready to go.
Thanks, Coach, and have a great week.
Thanks.
All right, great to hear from head coach Ryan Oulahen. Initial takeaways from what he had to say.
Well, my initial takeaway is that it's a work in progress, and he has to devise an offense, along with his assistant coaches, Matt Marquardt in particular, devise an offense that gives his skilled players time with the puck, because that was pretty tough against Kingston for his star players to find themselves with the puck in grade A scoring chances and shooting position. So create offensive schemes that give their players a little bit more time with the puck, that extra half or 3/4 of a second, so that guys like Iggy Pazii can get a shot off, because attention to detail with every week that goes by is going to increase, both in our team and other teams, and defensive schemes are going to become tougher to break. And so we have to find ways to get our offensive players a bit more time, a bit more space.
I think the big issue for him is practice with his whole team, which he hasn't had in a while. And I think they'll be working at that this week. And they don't play till Friday, so they're getting some good practices in before then, and of course the game on Sunday. So yeah, I think practice time with everybody, and everybody gets sort of used to each other again. It's been a while, so I think that'll help, getting the practices in, and I think the message is clear, though. Get to those dirty areas and start to score more goals.
And then coming up this week, he's going up against 2 coaches that he may be a little familiar with. Certainly John Dean of the Sioux Greyhounds, but also Scott Barney of the Sudbury Wolves, in the sense that they've played already in the preseason, they've met already in the regular season. So definitely some familiarity going up against these two teams this weekend.
Well, yeah, both teams. I mean, Sudbury, they had a preseason game against them in Sudbury, and of course they won Sudbury's home opener in overtime. And the Wolves are coming off a really rough weekend, going 0-3. And the Greyhounds, they're always fun games, North Bay and the Sioux. They're not in the same conference. I'm not sure if it's one of their big rivals, but they do play 4 times. And so I think, it's obviously a challenge. And so that's going to be a fun game too.
Sudbury is never easy. This is 2 road games in Sudbury, so we took the first one. They picked up a point. That's their only point of the year so far. They're never going to be an easy out because they're a team that has a lot of pride, especially at home. And so we just got to be able to go in there and try to push the pace, because I think we do have more speed than Sudbury does, more team speed. There'll be a different looking team though. They'll have some players back, like Villeneuve was coming back from camp. So now the big red machine on Sunday, that's John Dean's Sioux Greyhounds. For some reason, those red jerseys, they just look fast to me. And it's probably looking back to the Detroit Red Wings, the Fab Five on that team. But I think if we can, it's going to be a good question to see where Mike McIver slots in which game. But I would like to see him at home against the Sioux Greyhounds. But we'll have to see what Coach Oulahen has in mind.
I mean, that would be interesting, right? Because he hasn't played against Sudbury yet, right? He didn't play in the preseason game. Obviously, he was at Anaheim Ducks camp, but he also didn't play in the Friday night game. It was Charlie LaRock in that game. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if McIver gets a start against Sudbury, or, I mean, they have to face them 6 more times after Friday night anyway, right? So I'm sure there's going to be plenty of opportunity for Mike McIver to face the Sudbury Wolves this season.
Well, what you'd like to do is have a situation where you have a bona fide 1A and 1B, which we did for vast stretches of last season. We felt confident with both goaltenders, and I would like to get into that situation as well. And I'm not sure where the 1B fits in with LaRock and Jack Lisson. Jack Lisson looked good on Sunday against Kingston.
Absolutely. All right, we want to thank Sports Illustrated Tickets and Happy Dad Beverages for bringing you this show, as well as our community sponsors, the City of North Bay, the Boat North Bay, the Moose Cookhouse, and the Clubhouse at Gateway Golf, as well as our live on location sponsor tonight, the Fox and the Fiddle, who have been wonderful hosts for us. It's now time for us to be joined by AJ Jakeman, who's bringing us our fan voice of the evening. AJ?
Gentlemen,
Great to have you here.
thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Another week.
Yeah, you moved close to the host. You must be important.
I'm gunning for
This is
Matt's
the
job,
big-
that's why.
This is the big seat, so that's
So whenever you're sick, you know where I'm going.
absolutely. AJ, a couple of big things going on with the North Bay Battalion this weekend, but I hear we've got some fan mail.
Exactly, we got a fan question, guys. Are you ready for this one?
We're ready.
It comes all the way from Timmins, Ontario.
Timmins, Ontario.
I work
Timmins,
there,
Ontario. Okay, ready? This is from Jason. Jason wants to know. We all remember 2 seasons ago when the Wolves crashed the net, taking Dom out of the lineup for weeks. Dom missed his opportunity to don Team Canada's red and white. So his question is, if you were the OHL commissioner, should players who deliberately crash the net be held accountable for their actions than they currently are?
That's a tough question. It depends on what side of the puck you're on. We don't seem to ever crash the other team's goalie. We play with a bit more sportsmanship and respect for other goalies. But I think that the issue is widespread in all leagues, and I'm pro goalie, as you know, so I want to protect them as much as possible. Just wondering if you're watching this podcast, if you think that when they got rid of the red line, there's more speed coming through the neutral zone, and by the time they cross into the offensive zone, they're a freight train going to the net, and not too many choices for the defenseman at that point. If they lose half a step, they end up quite often pushing the player into their own goalie, and we see that half the time. That's the reason that goalies get hurt, is they're getting the offensive players getting pushed into them. When you think about Sam Bennett, former Kingston Frontenac, going after Anthony Stolars, former London Knight, that looked egregious. That was obvious, and I think that's got to be taken out of the game.
And that was a huge turning point for the Leafs, that's for sure.
It was.
And for Florida.
It was.
Good and bad.
It gave Florida the sense that they could do anything they wanted out there.
If you don't, as a league, punish the player, if you believe it was a deliberate act to attempt to injure a goaltender, if you don't, as a league, step up and send a message, it should be supplemental discipline to send a message. The coach who has that goalie who's out, what if he says, okay, I'm going to send if it's a playoff series, I'm going to send my guy and hurt your goalie, and that's not good for that.
Then we're back to the 70s and 80s, right?
So I think the league, let the officials make the call, whatever they think the call is, but that is a supplemental discipline issue, and establish what is a hockey play and establish what is not a hockey play. It's an attempt to injure play, and if you cross the line, then I think the player involved should pay a harsh penalty for it.
These are also plays that should and can be reviewable now. And I mean, I know sometimes when we slow things down and watch it that, you're not watching it at the full speed anymore, so you do have to take that into context. But I mean, yeah, especially, the Sam Bennett one. I mean, when he skates by the guy and sticks out his elbow for no reason other than to connect with the guy's head, doesn't matter what speed you're watching that in, that looks deliberate. So, I mean, I think you have to use the technology available to make these assessments. And these are the ones where I don't think it matters how long it takes on the ice. Those are the ones I think you got to get the call right.
And if you don't, then you're going to have trouble on the ice. It's
Absolutely.
just like opening up a can of worms, right?
Yeah.
It's
Like Bob said,
you did to us, we're going to do it to you, and then the league just, it just gets crazy.
Yep.
And then you're down to your fifth string goaltender by the time game 3 arrives, right?
That's a fantastic question from that
Yeah,
And I hear he's a big Bob Coles fan.
he is. He says he listened to Bob in the 80s.
On
We
the radio
had
too.
radios in the 80s, Bob? Oh, my.
You didn't have FM radio.
You're on the AM dial?
That was the Sony Walkman.
That's,
Wow, you guys are really giving your age here.
I did have someone point out to me after the last show that maybe Just for Men should be sponsoring the show. So talking about showing our age, right?
You got to make money.
That's
Yes.
it.
Whatever works.
I'm just here for the free wings, guys. That's it.
Speaking of which, I'm looking at that table in the back corner. There's some nice cold beverages there, and I saw the servers over there. It looked like tacos.
Yes,
It
it
is
was.
Taco
It's Taco
Tuesday.
Tuesday, half-price tacos.
Is that what it is?
I had some chicken ones. They were very good. So.
Got nothing.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
We'll stick around after the show.
All right.
All right. Jason, thank you so much for sending in that question. And for anyone else that has any questions for the Troops Trio, you can find us at Troops Trio at BattalionHockey.com. All right, AJ, what else do you have for us?
Well, the troops, they're on the road Friday night back in Sudbury. And then Sunday, Indigenous Youth Day, 2 o'clock, we take on the Sioux Greyhounds. We have lots of activities planned. Make sure to wear your orange. We also have the McDonald's Battalion Kids Club as well. And then something really cool. Dash auctions. Remember last year we did Dash auctions. We had a whole bunch of stuff. Well, right now they've got battalion locker plates. Really, like when you see the guy, you see a name. You can get them done. They're customized. I believe they're only $20. There's not many of them. Gerald's going to put the Dash on the screen where to go. But get in on that. Your own nameplate, perfect for a Christmas gift, whatever you need it for.
So it's got like the battalion logo on it, and that's
And
very
it's
cool.
exact same as what the kids have. So you know what? You can be part of the team just right there.
Very, very cool. All right. So, that awesome Christmas gift. It's coming.
I didn't
it's
mean to
coming
talk
up.
about Christmas so early. I know it's
But it is coming
not
up.
over yet, but
Anytime
You know.
you can get your Christmas shopping done early,
Well, exactly.
you might as well get it done.
Oh, you give gifts for Thanksgiving?
Well, no, but it's better than Christmas. We're not even in October yet.
Well, that's tomorrow. We're close enough.
Close enough. All right, AJ. Thank
Matt,
you
I
so
told you.
much as always.
I told you
next
that
week.
I should sit between these two guys because they're going to go at it eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, me and Bobby Coles. Let's go.
I mean, during the games, they're on headsets going at each
Oh,
other.
I know
right?
this
So-
is. I know this is. So it's okay.
All right.
We love you, Bob.
Thanks so much. That's AJ Jakeman. He's our official hype man of Troops Trio. We want to thank Sports Illustrated Tickets and Happy Dad Beverages once again for bringing you this show, as well as being sponsored by the City of North Bay, the Boat North Bay, the Moose Cookhouse, the Clubhouse at Gateway Golf, and the Fox Fiddle, who are being amazing hosts for us tonight. Well, from one guest right into the other, from the DJ booth onto the bench, we've got Iggy Pazii joining us today. Iggy, thank you so much for being with us, man.
Of course. How's it going?
Third year in the OHL, taking on a bit of a leadership role this year. How are you finding that role through the first couple weeks of the season?
I'd say it's a big responsibility for sure, but I appreciate that. That's the kind of role I'm being given right now. So I'm just trying to take it day by day too. I only get to experience it once in a lifetime. So just trying to help out the other guys if they need any help and soak it all in.
Back and forth in terms of the guys who have been here, the guys who have been away. You played the first two games with basically a lot of the younger guys, and they had different roles than maybe they do now because the veterans came back. What's that been like the last couple of weeks?
We definitely have some returning faces in the lineup, that's for sure. It's great to have them back. You can underestimate how much of experience they bring from those camps. So I think we just have to kind of find our mojo a little bit and try to get the puck in the net.
I think that the first impression you made on me was last season, the beginning, the exhibition game in Sudbury. Do you remember going down the wing and pretty much almost at the goal line in the corner, and you rifled a shot and over the goalie's shoulder? Do you remember that?
I do, yeah.
That was your first preseason goal, maybe? Or?
I think that was in a regular season.
Was it first
third game or something
like that? Yeah. And every time you go down the wing, honestly, I'm thinking that I wanted to see that shot. And I've seen it again. I've seen it twice now. That one, and you did it again.
Yeah.
And so when a guy has wheels like that, it just seems like, as a goalie, you're not expecting the shot because you're expecting him to continue skating because he's one of the fastest skaters in the league.
Thank you.
That's true.
Did you, growing up, because the game has changed a lot in the last few years, where, it used to be just for, 5'10", 6'3", but some of the, I don't want to say shorter, diminutive characters out there like yourself. Did that bother you growing up playing hockey in the sense that maybe I should play another sport, or were you always obsessed with hockey?
I was definitely always obsessed with hockey, and I was always kind of one of the smaller guys on the team, even when I was a kid. So I just say, some people might look at it as a disadvantage, but I'd say for me, you could look at it as an advantage at some point. If you're smaller, you're a smaller target, and it's harder for the bigger opponents to hit you. So I'm just trying to look at it from the positive side.
My favorite moment of you is the fight you had against, I think it was the Pete's that night, and the guy had a few inches on you, and you basically destroyed him in the fight. Where'd you get those skills from?
I never specifically practiced that, but I'd say just don't mess with me. So.
But it seems like you're a guy who doesn't shy away from physicality. Is it your pride that you don't want to let guys take cheap shots at you, and you just want to hold them accountable?
I'd say it's just competitiveness. I don't want to lose. No one likes to lose, so I just try to take the best out of every moment. So I just think every time I go into battle, I'm thinking I'm going to win it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go into the corner with this guy, and the crowd gets so much energy when Pazii comes on the ice from his skating and his stick handling and stuff. But when he gets physical after the whistle, for example, the crowd just eats it up. They love it.
Yeah,
and I think
they
the
really
bench
do.
does too, because they're doing the sticks there.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
When you made the move and came over to North America for the first time, was it with the goal of trying to play in the OHL, or what was the thinking behind coming to play North American hockey? Was it, were you hoping that the OHL or team in the OHL was going to come calling?
Well, I always kind of looked at the OHL even back when I was in Ukraine. It's a worldwide known league. You know, everyone kind of knows that it's the best junior league in the world. So obviously, I wanted to make it here eventually. So, but I never really put like any thinking or like planned it for. You know, it was still kind of a long road ahead for me.
For sure.
I still had to develop as a AAA player in North America. So, yeah, I just kind of took it season by season, and then eventually when Adam reached out to me, it was definitely surprising, and I took that right away as soon as I could.
Were there any previous talks? Did any of the scouts approach you first, or did Adam just kind of call you out of the blue? How did that happen?
Adam was one and only, so I'm very thankful for where I am today.
Wow, that's amazing.
I've been asking this question about, we're doing it like every player that comes on our podcast. Who was your favorite player growing up and why?
Sidney Crosby. He's just, I don't know, he's a great athlete overall. He's a great leader on the ice and off the ice. He's just a role model, maybe, you know, just for the kids growing up. I always kind of looked up to him. Winning 3 Stanley Cups, winning Olympics, and you just name it, he has it all. So just a very great guy overall, and seems like a nice guy as well, you know.
Would you like to see him on the Montreal Canadiens?
I just wish for him whatever he wants to do. So if that's his wishing and that's what he wants to do, then go ahead for it. But I'd wish to play with him one day, hopefully.
One thing that I've noticed, speaking of Crosby, one thing that I've noticed from you, the growth in your game has been in the face-off dot. And you've become very good, some nights 65%, 68% in the face-off dots. Have you put a lot of work into that over the past couple of years?
I definitely work on that sometimes, but it's more of I guess, how strong your arms are. So I definitely put some work in the gym this summer, and maybe that helped. But I feel like for me, it's about finding consistency. It's not always 68%, and I'd like for it to be 68% every game, but I'd say some nights they're less than 50%.
So take us through that. You talked about upper body development. You had that injury last year. Adam Dennis mentioned to me that you used the time off to build your strength and continue to train. So how did that work out? How did that look?
Well, it was tough. As soon as it happened, I kind of I was lost. I didn't know what to do. Right? Yeah. It's just shocking news. But as soon as we figured, because we didn't know what it was really until we were on the road trip. I got injured, and then we had a game next day, so I still had to be with the boys on the bus, right? It was definitely not comfortable laying down on those seats, with a broken collarbone, but
at that point, did anyone tell you had a broken collarbone? Or?
It hurt. I didn't know what it was, but it was hard to understand without an X-ray, and we were in US at the time, so it's I think it has to do something with insurance. We couldn't do it there, so we just had to wait until we get back.
Just tape it up.
Yeah, tape it up. Ice. Put lots of ice on it. But yeah, as soon as I got in North Bay, we went to the doctor, and then it was, I guess, bad news for me. But I tried to look at it from the positive side. I had 3 months for me to prepare. I couldn't do much on the ice. I don't think I skated for the first month and a half or something like that. They wouldn't let me because in case I fell, they didn't want me to injure it again.
But that's going to be hard. You're on the team, but you're not on the team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was a
because
fan.
you got to work on getting back into. You got to heal your wound, and then you got to get back into playing shape while all your buddies are playing big games down the stretch, and then you have to sort of catch the bus.
Yeah.
Well, it's going 70 miles an hour because late in the season and the playoffs.
That's for sure. It was definitely not easy, like I said, but I don't look for an easy way ever. So I just kind of, like I said, I took it as a second off season, just worked on my lower body, and then as soon as I could start shooting, because I couldn't shoot for a long time too, right? I just took it slowly, day by day. You can't rush it. You can't rush greatness. So I don't know. I try to look at it from the positive side.
So there's chemistry between you and Amo and Wellenreiter, and it became obvious the second half of last season and into the playoffs where I thought you were our best line. What does it feel like when those guys are out there? Do you just have a sense where they're going to be or what they're going to be doing and know, therefore, what you have to do with the puck?
well, me and Emo, like we've known each other for a long time. We were on the same team for 3 years, and adding Welly to our line last year was definitely a great addition for the team in general. But for us, I feel like we just found that connection. I guess we see the ice kind of similarly, you know. And me and Emo and Welly, we're all like kind of fast players, you know. So we just take advantage of the players with the speed. Welly maybe takes advantage of the quick hands or something like that. So yeah, it just I guess it comes naturally. You don't really think about that. It's just the way we come along together on the ice.
Yeah, that's excellent. All right, we are running short on time. We want to thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Troops Trio. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Iggy Pazii, always a pleasure to have the actual troops on Troops Trio. We want to thank Sports Illustrated Tickets and Happy Dad Beverages for sponsoring this show, as well as the City of North Bay, the Boat North Bay, the Moose Cookhouse, the Clubhouse at Gateway Golf, and the Fox and Fiddle. Well, Iggy Pazii and the rest of the troops taking on the Sudbury Wolves and the Sioux Greyhounds this weekend. And Bobby had a chance to catch up with the head coaches of those two clubs. So let's start with Friday's game against the Sudbury Wolves. Producer Gerald, can we hear Bob Coles and Scott Barney?
Joining us, Scott Barney, the head coach of the Sudbury Wolves. And Scott, second meeting coming up this week between the battalion and the Wolves. As you know, we got you by a goal in overtime on the previous visit. What did you take from that game?
Yeah, it was a hard-fought game, right, both ways, and obviously you guys got a great team there in North Bay, and Ryan always does a good job, play hard, play the right way, and obviously you got some bodies back as well there, right, so we're going to be more prepared as well. I thought in the end, right, it's an overtime game. It could be a bounce here, bounce there. I thought it was pretty evenly matched that night, and I know for us here, we got to get back onto the winning side.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Not the road trip you wanted, going 0-3 on the weekend. Some tough teams there, Brantford, Windsor, another opponent. What did you take from the weekend?
Yeah, I just had some deficiencies maybe in our systematic play by some of our players we have, but we need some players to be better, like anybody does when you're losing some games. And I think collectively as a team here, it's a big work week ahead, right? We've had all week here to work as a team on things that we need to improve on to get ready for the game against North Bay, but also it's more about not only the one game, but into the future for our team here. So just more about getting back to work, getting into creating good habits on the puck, away from the puck, and for us right now, like I said, getting back to just working the right way.
They didn't have a couple of guys in that previous meeting because they were away at camp, Kieran Walton, for example. So what do having these guys mean, getting them back in the lineup?
Yeah, when we get them back, we'll get them back. And those are two important players for our team here going forward, right? But right now we got to, the players that are here, we need guys to step up and take advantage of that. I don't think last weekend too many guys did, but you know what? You need to see some guys jump at that opportunity, right? Could be a difference of playing the year in Sudbury or playing the year in Tier 2 junior or back to your midget team, right? So we have some time here with those two guys out to see where some of these guys are at, and we'll have to make those tough decisions when they do come back.
Obviously, it's a huge rivalry, North Bay Sudbury, coming up on Friday night. Not only with the two teams, but with the fans as well. It's always a great atmosphere, isn't it, when the battalion and the Wolves battle it out?
Yeah, it's great, right? It's not too far away. I think we had our last 3 home games would be against North Bay. We had the exhibition game at home, then we had opening night, and then this is the third one for us against North Bay at home here. So it's good for the fans, right? It's an easy drive. They can get up and support their team. Both fan bases, they love their team. They'll do anything to see their team win against the other, and that's what junior hockey is all about, right? And it's good for the players too. When you go to the rinks, it's the atmosphere. You can feel it in the warm-ups, you can feel it in the stands, you guys can feel it up in the booth calling the game, right? So this is great, and you know what, I played with Ryan there, the coach at North Bay there, so it's always good to try to beat a former teammate as well. But he does a great job there with North Bay, and he's a great coach.
Well, thanks for this. Best of luck, and it should be a fun one Friday night.
Thanks, Bob. We'll see you here.
Take care. Scott
Bye-bye.
Barney, head coach of the Sudbury Wolves.
All right, thanks, Bob, and thank you, Scott. And Ranj, what I took most out of that was the fact that, he wasn't mincing words about the roster this year. You're going to have to put in some effort if you want to stick around with the Sudbury Wolves this season.
Yeah, so this is not the Sudbury Wolves team from last year or the year before that. From the year before, there's no Goyette. There's no Musty. There's no Henry Muse on defense, who they traded for and paid a price to get him from Ottawa at the trade deadline. So it's a matter of next man up, and you got to find your tomorrow's leaders. Chase Coughlin is one of those leaders, an agitator. He's not the most offensively gifted person, but he did score in that game a few weeks ago against North Bay. Yeah, he's got to create a system that gives his team the best chance to succeed. And I think it's just playing as a 5-man unit and being difficult to play against in the neutral zone. Really, his team has to hunt for the puck, and they looked pretty good in that preseason game. It went to overtime, but they've got to be hungry for the puck and win those 50-50 puck battles if they're going to have success against North Bay. Same goes for North Bay. I mean, whatever team executes better will win that game.
Absolutely. All right, and then Bob also had a chance to catch up with the Sioux Greyhounds head coach, John Dean. Producer Gerald, can we hear that interview now?
Joining us, the head coach of the Sioux Greyhounds, John Dean. Of course, the Greyhounds will be in North Bay on Sunday afternoon, Indigenous Youth Day. Just looking at your schedule, John, you've been on the road a bit. You went 2-1 last week, and you got 3 games. This will go tonight, by the way, John, just to let you know. So you got a big road trip coming up this weekend. Talk about your upcoming road trip.
Yeah. So we just had a big Eastern swing. We saw Peterborough, Kingston, and then Ottawa. Got back in early yesterday morning for a day off, and we're heading back out on the road tomorrow, which is the Sioux Greyhound way. So we have Barrie, Brampton, and then we follow up with you guys on Sunday for our 3 and 4. Exciting for us, being on the road is team bonding. Not a lot of opportunity to practice, which means, trial by fire, which I think is sometimes great for a young group. Get in the mix. You don't have time to feel sorry for yourself. Don't have time to worry about mistakes or what kind of mood coach is going to be in practice. It's get back at it and hopefully increasingly get better game by game.
Okay, you come here Sunday afternoon on Indigenous Youth Day. Obviously, it's an important day for the community. And I know that this, supporting Indigenous young people is important in Sault Ste. Marie. So the importance of this game coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, well, we actually have an Indigenous player, Hunter Solomon. We talk about his culture quite a bit. We're trying to get involved more as a group here in the Sioux. Things of that nature to talk about and be discussed later. Hopefully something in the works here, but of course, it's important. It's a day off in the Sioux right now because it's being celebrated. And I love the fact that we're so close to Indigenous communities in the north. And they're a huge fabric of our culture.
Now, the rivalry between the Battalion and Greyhounds, it's interesting because you guys are in opposite conferences, but you play each other 4 times a year. These games are pretty intense, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a major rivalry, but it's definitely important games for us because anytime you play a team 4 times, you have to set the tone and you have to let them know, what to expect, how hard we're going to play, and that it's always going to be a tough night when you play the Sioux Greyhounds. And I'm sure Ryan's saying the same thing to this team in green. And, when you do your usual Eastern road trips, you're playing a team, once and then they come see you. So you really focus in on more your own details. And on Sunday early in the season, it'll be more about the Hounds for us, but still it'll be about, setting an example of how difficult we want to be to play against a team that we're going to see 4 times. So it's definitely an interesting matchup for us.
And what about you personally? I mean, you played here with the Centennials. You were an assistant coach with the Battalion. You're a head coach coming into North Bay now up against your old pal Ryan. And how you feel about these matchups coming back to North Bay and coaching at the Gardens when you played at the Gardens as well.
Yeah, it's really, really cool for me. Every time I go there, it's special. One is the Batanti brothers. They make sure that we get well fed. So some famous food in North Bay. They take care of us in a real good way, and hoping for a nice ice cream buffet if Steve will take care of us. Put on a few pounds every time I come to North Bay. But in all seriousness, it's I cut my teeth there as a coach. Ryan was a huge help for me early on in my career, and helping me as an assistant, and he was already, I think 3 years or 4 years into his career. So he was a major help for me playing there. I still have fond memories. Fond memories of ownership, fond memories of my old coaches. My billet mom and brother now live in Ottawa and visited me yesterday or 2 days ago in Ottawa. So those special relationships are still there. And Bobby, you always come down and say hi after the game, and people that I got close with always come down to say hello. And I don't think you realize or those people realize how important those 20-second touches are. It means a lot, especially during the hockey season. Times can be stressful, and often we get caught up in being hockey coaches and not people. I find when I come back to North Bay, I remember I'm a person, and I get to enjoy those small relationships and say hello to old faces. And I'm super grateful to North Bay in so many ways as a player and as an opportunity to be a coach. I don't think I'm sitting here without North Bay.
Well, it's great to hear. And we'll have one of those short visits on Sunday, and we'll see you then. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Bobby.
John Dean, the head coach of the Sioux Greyhounds.
All right, thanks so much, Bob, and thanks so much, John Dean, for taking the time to do that interview. Obviously, a tremendous connection for John Dean and the city of North Bay, and so obviously he wants to make his former city maybe proud when he comes in and gets to take on the team that he used to coach. And so, yeah, there's a lot of emotions obviously riding on this game, but it's also an opportunity for that young club to continue on the good path that they have started so far this season.
Yeah, so John Dean, he's loved by everyone in North Bay, and was very popular here, especially amongst the media, because he always had something funny to say. He's done a good job in the Sioux. He's carried them into some good runs, and then he's rebuilt in a rebuilding process with that club, and they always seem to have really good players. Ty Karche, one of them, that seemed to make it to the next level, and Sioux's always been a good hotbed for hockey talent. Coming back 3 games in 4 nights is going to be tough for them, and you want, as North Bay, you want to jump on them quickly, especially because North Bay just has the 2 games. There should be no excuse for North Bay not to start on time and take it to John Dean's Greyhounds.
Speaking of time, I think we're just about out of time. Bob, anything else to add about those interviews with Scott or with John?
No, I've always liked John Dean, I'll be honest with you. He's just he's been a good friend for a long time, and we hope he has a great season, and cheer for the other team when he plays the Battalion. But he's a class act, and he's one of the fun guys in the league.
Yeah, you can cheer for him against the other 18 teams in the league, just not when he's going up against the North Bay Battalion, right? All right, that's going to do it for us here at live at the Fox and Fiddle for Troops Trio. We want to thank Sports Illustrated Tickets and Happy Dad Beverages for bringing you this show, as well as our community sponsors, the City of North Bay, the Boat North Bay, the Moose Cookhouse, and the clubhouse at Gateway Golf, as well as the Fox and Fiddle for being wonderful hosts tonight. Make sure you check out the Battalion social media channels to find out where Troops Trio will be next. And you can send your questions and comments to Troops Trio at battalionhockey.com. We want to thank our camera operators, Cassidy and Jacob, our show coordinator, Owen, producer, Gerald, our hype man, AJ Jakeman, executive producer, Steve Batanti, Ranjan Rupal and Bob Coles. I'm Matthew Sookram, and this has been Troops Trio. Good night.